What if I told you the mark of the beast isn't coming? What if I told you it's already here? Not in the way you've been told, not a chip, not a barcode, not some glowing tattoo on the forehead of a man in a dark suit standing in front of a world map. Something quieter than that, something older, something that has been walking beside humanity for longer than any of us realize. And before you click away, before you think this is just another video about the end of the world, stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you is not a theory. It's not a prediction. It's written. It's been written for almost 2,000 years. And most people who read it still don't see what it actually says. You see, the book of Revelation didn't promise us a future of fear. It gave us a mirror. And when you finally hold that mirror up to the world we live in today, something in your chest is going to shift. I know that feeling. I've sat with this verse late at night, the house quiet, the screen of my phone glowing on the ceiling, and I ask myself the same question you might be asking right now. What if I already have the mark and just don't know it? Take a breath, because the truth about the mark of the beast isn't what they taught you in Sunday school. And by the end of this, you're going to see your own life with different eyes. Let's start where most people never start, with the actual words. Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. John writes, "He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name." Read that again, slowly. Small and great, rich and poor, free and slave. Notice something? John isn't describing a group of bad people. He's describing everyone. He's describing the entire economic structure of a world. He's describing a system so complete, so woven into daily life, that to refuse it is to be cut off from buying bread, from selling your work, from feeding your children. Now, ask yourself an honest question. Has there ever been a moment in human history before now where a single system touched every single person on earth, from the poorest village to the richest city, and decided who could participate in the economy and who could not? 2,000 years ago, when John wrote those words from a prison cave on the island of Patmos, that idea was almost unimaginable. He was looking out at the Roman Empire, a vast empire, yes, but not a global one. There were entire continents Rome never touched. There were tribes Rome never named. There were people living and dying who had no idea Caesar existed. And yet, John saw something. Something the Spirit showed him. A future where the mark would not skip a village, would not miss a single hand, would not pass over the forehead of even the smallest child. How could he have known? That's the first thing that should make you pause. Not the chip theories, not the conspiracy videos, just the simple, devastating accuracy of one sentence written by a tired old man in exile. But there's more, and this is where it gets uncomfortable. The mark in the original Greek is the word charagma. It means an engraving, a stamp, a seal, the same word the Romans used for the official imperial seal pressed into hot wax on documents. The seal that said, "This belongs to Caesar. This is owned. This is approved by the empire." So when John says people will receive the charagma of the beast, he's not just talking about a symbol you wear. He's talking about an ownership, a claim, a statement made over your life that says you belong to this system now. And here's the part nobody wants to sit with. The mark goes on the right hand or on the forehead. Why those two places? In the Hebrew mind, in the world John came from, the right hand was the symbol of what you do, your labor, your actions. The forehead was the symbol of what you think, your beliefs, your worldview. Do you see it yet? The mark of the beast is not a sticker. It's not something the government slaps on you while you're sleeping. The mark of the beast is what happens when a system gets so deep inside a person that it owns both what they do with their hands and what they believe in their mind. And the question stops being, will I get the mark? The question becomes, what already owns my hands and my thoughts? What do I work for every morning when the alarm goes off? What do I think about the moment I open my eyes? Before I even pray? Before I even breathe? There's something there for every person watching this. There is something that has already pressed its seal into your day. And before we go any further, you need to know what it is. Let me tell you something that took me years to understand. The beast in Revelation is not described the way Hollywood describes it. There are no horns dripping blood. There is no red skin. There is no pitchfork. John, when he sees the beast rising from the sea in chapter 13, describes something almost industrial, almost civilizational. He describes a creature with 10 horns and 7 heads, and on its horns 10 crowns, and on each head a blasphemous name. Scholars have argued for centuries about what those heads and horns mean. Empires, kings, kingdoms, systems of power that rise and fall across history. Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, and then the ones that come after. But there's something John says that most people miss. He says the beast had a mouth like a lion, feet like a bear, and a body like a leopard. If you've ever read the book of Daniel, you already know where those animals come from. Daniel saw them too, hundreds of years before John. A lion, a bear, a leopard, each one representing an empire that would rise and consume the one before it. What John saw was all of them, combined into one final beast, as if every empire that ever oppressed God's people had been melted down and forged into a single new creature for the last days. And that creature, John says, was given authority over every tribe and people and tongue and nation. Stop. Think about that phrase. Every tribe, every people, every tongue, every nation. There has never, in the entire history of humanity, been a system that touched every tribe, every language, every nation, until now. I'm not going to tell you what that system is. I want you to think about it yourself, because the moment I name it, you'll either agree with me too quickly or argue with me too fast. And neither of those is the truth. Just sit with the question, what single system in the world you live in right now touches every tribe, speaks every language, reaches every nation, and demands your attention every single day? I'll let that breathe. Now here's the part of Revelation almost nobody preaches on. The mark of the beast is not the worst part. The worst part is what comes before the mark. In Revelation 13, before the mark is introduced, John describes something strange. He says the beast was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and it was given authority to continue for 42 months. And it opened its mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. A mouth. Before the mark on the hand, there is a mouth that speaks, a voice that goes out into the world and changes what people believe, a voice loud enough to drown out the still, small voice of God, a voice that tells the world what is true, what is good, what is acceptable, what is normal, what is forbidden, a voice that defines reality for billions of people every single day. You don't have to be a prophet to see it. You wake up in the morning and a voice is already speaking to you. Before your eyes are fully open, a glowing rectangle has already told you what to be afraid of, what to want, what to buy, who to hate, what to think about your own body, your own worth, your own faith. That's the mouth. And the mouth comes first, because the mark on the forehead, the mark on your mind, cannot be placed until the mouth has been listened to. This is the rhythm of the beast. First the voice, then the worldview, then the action, then the seal. And here is where the verse gets sharper than any blade. Revelation says people will worship the beast, not because they were forced, not because soldiers came to their door. They will worship it because they will say, who is like the beast, and who is able to make war with him? In other words, they will look at the system and conclude, there is no alternative. There is nothing greater than this. There is nowhere else to go. This is just how the world works now. This is just reality. And the moment a human being says, this is just how the world works, and surrenders their imagination to it, they have already begun to receive the mark, not on the skin, in the soul. And the question you have to ask yourself in the quiet of tonight is this: what voice have I been listening to longer than the voice of God? Now, I want to take you somewhere most teachers will not take you. I want to take you to the number 666. You've heard it your whole life. You've seen it on T-shirts. You've seen it on movie posters. You've laughed about it. You've been scared by it. You've maybe even joked when your grocery bill came out to $66.66. But almost nobody who throws that number around has actually read what John wrote about it. Revelation 13, verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. Read it again, slowly. Because there are three things in that verse that almost everyone skips over. The first thing John says is, here is wisdom. He doesn't say, here is fear. He doesn't say, here is a warning to run. He says wisdom, which means whatever this number is, it's something a person of understanding is supposed to figure out. It's not meant to terrify you. It's meant to wake you up. The second thing he says is, let him who has understanding calculate. The Greek word there is sophizo. It means to count with pebbles. It means to do the math. It means to look carefully at what is in front of you and add it up. John is not telling you to panic. He's telling you to think. And the third thing, the part that almost nobody notices, he says it is the number of a man. A man, not a demon, not a robot, not a chip, not a satellite, a man. The beast has a human face. The beast has a human number. Whatever this system is, it was built by people. It is sustained by people. It is worshipped by people. And it will fall by the hand of God, but it was constructed by the hands of men. Now here is where centuries of believers have tried to crack the code. In the ancient world, letters were numbers. Every Hebrew letter, every Greek letter had a numerical value, so names could be added up. And for 2,000 years, people have tried to figure out which name adds up to 666. Some said Nero Caesar, and in Hebrew, the name Nero Caesar does add up almost exactly to 666. And Nero was the emperor who burned Christians alive as torches to light his garden parties. He was the first Roman emperor to slaughter believers as state policy. To the early Christians reading Revelation, Nero was the face of the beast. Others said the number points to future kings, future systems, future names we don't know yet, but I want to offer you something deeper than the name game, something more uncomfortable. In the Bible, the number 7 is the number of God. 7 days of creation, 7 spirits before the throne, 7 seals, 7 churches. 7 is completeness. 7 is divine fullness. 6 is the number of man. Man was created on the 6th day. Man works 6 days. 6 is the number that always falls just short of 7. Always almost, always not quite. And 666, if this is man trying to be God 3 times over. It is humanity in its full pride. Humanity that has decided it does not need heaven. Humanity that has built its own systems, written its own commandments, named itself the highest authority in the universe. 3 sixes, body, soul, and spirit, all turned inward, all saying, I am my own God. That is the spiritual signature of the beast. Not a tattoo, not a barcode, a way of being, a civilization that has bowed to itself. And once you see it that way, you can feel it in the air. You can feel it in the way people talk about themselves. You can feel it in the slogans, the ones that sound so empowering on the surface and so empty in the middle of the night. Follow your truth. You are enough. You are your own miracle. There is no higher power than the one inside you. Those words sound like freedom, but they are the oldest temptation in the garden, dressed in modern clothing. The serpent did not say, "Rebel against God." The serpent said, "You will be like God. You will not need him." That is 666. In every age, in every empire, in every heart that has ever whispered, "I'll do this on my own." And the question you have to sit with tonight is not, "Will I get the mark?" The question is, whose number have I already been counting by? There's a moment in Revelation that almost nobody talks about, and it might be the most important moment in the entire book when it comes to the mark. It's in chapter 14, right after the chapter where the mark is introduced. John lifts his eyes, and he sees something different. He sees a lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with the lamb, 144,000 people. And John writes this. He says they had his father's name written on their foreheads. Stop right there. Did you catch it? In chapter 13, the beast puts a mark on the forehead. In chapter 14, God puts his name on the forehead. There are two marks, not one. Every single person who has ever lived, who is alive right now, who is watching this video tonight, has a mark on their forehead. You do, I do. The question is not whether you have a mark. The question is whose mark you have. And here is the truth that the church has whispered for centuries but rarely says out loud. The mark is not first physical, it is first spiritual. The mark is what you have given your mind to. The mark is who you have agreed with. The mark is the name your soul answers to when no one else is calling you. Some people walk through this life with the name of the Father written quietly on their forehead. You can almost see it in their eyes. A peace that does not match their circumstances. A steadiness that does not come from money. A kindness that does not come from comfort. Their forehead has been sealed, not by ink, by love. Other people walk through this life with the mark of the beast on their forehead, and it does not look the way you think it looks. It looks like exhaustion. It looks like restlessness. It looks like a soul that has been told its whole life that it is the center of the universe and is quietly drowning under the weight of that lie. I've met both kinds of people. I've been both kinds of people. There was a season in my life where I would have told you I believed in God. I would have ticked the box on a survey. I would have said the words at a funeral. But if you had looked at my forehead spiritually, you would have seen something else written there. You would have seen the names of every system I was actually loyal to. My career, my image, my fear of being forgotten, my need to be seen, my obsession with what people thought of me when I walked out of a room. That was my mark. That was what owned my mind. And no one had to force me to take it. No government held me down. No demon whispered in my ear. I chose it. Quietly. Every morning. For years. That is how the mark of the beast actually spreads in the world. Not by violence, by consent, not by force, by forgetting. People do not wake up one day and decide to worship the beast. They wake up one day and realize they already have been. For years, for decades, for most of their lives. And here is what Revelation says about that. In chapter 14, verse 9, an angel flies through the middle of heaven, and he cries out with a loud voice. He says, "If anyone worships the beast and his image, and receives his mark on his forehead or on his hand, he himself shall also drink of the wine of the wrath of God." That is one of the heaviest verses in the Bible, and it is not in there to scare you. It is in there to wake you up, because the verse right after it is the one that almost no preacher quotes. Verse 12, "Here is the patience of the saints. Here are those who keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus." Do you hear what John is doing? He's not saying panic. He is not saying hide. He is saying the saints are the ones who stay. The saints are the ones who do not bend. The saints are the ones who, in a world where everyone has agreed to wear the beast's name, quietly choose. to wear the Father's name instead. And that choice is not made on the day the system arrives. That choice is made today, tonight, in small moments no one will ever see. The choice to pray when you don't feel like it, the choice to be honest when lying would be easier, the choice to forgive when bitterness would taste so much better, the choice to turn off the voice that has been speaking over your forehead for years and listen, finally, to the voice that has been whispering your real name since the day you were born. The mark of God is not stamped, it's chosen, every day, in the quiet. And so is the other one. I want to tell you something that might change how you read the Bible for the rest of your life. The mark of the beast is not a new idea in Revelation. It is the oldest pattern in the entire Bible. John didn't invent it. He just gave it a final name. Go back to the very beginning. Genesis chapter 4. Cain has just killed his brother Abel. The blood is still in the ground. And God comes to Cain and speaks to him. And Cain says, "My punishment is greater than I can bear. Anyone who finds me will kill me." And then the Bible says this: "The Lord set a mark on Cain, lest anyone finding him should kill him." A mark on the very first murderer in the Bible. A mark of protection, yes, but also a mark of separation. A sign that said, this man belongs to a different story now. This man has chosen a different path. And from that moment, Cain walked east of Eden and built a city, and his descendants built tools and weapons and music and civilization itself. The first city in the Bible was built by a man with a mark. Are you starting to see it? Then move forward. Exodus chapter 12. The night of Passover. The angel of death is about to pass through Egypt, and God tells his people, "Take the blood of a lamb and put it on the doorposts of your house. And when the angel sees the blood, he will pass over you." A mark on the doorpost, a sign of who belongs to God. Then move forward again. Ezekiel chapter 9. God is about to bring judgment on Jerusalem, and before the judgment falls, he sends an angel through the city with an ink horn, and he says, "Go through the midst of the city and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done within it." A mark on the forehead of the ones who still grieve over what the world has become. Do you feel the rhythm? Throughout the entire Bible, God has always marked his people, and in every age there has been a countermark, a false mark, a mark of the world, a mark of the system that opposes him. Revelation is not introducing something new. Revelation is showing you the final form of something that has been playing out since the beginning. The mark of the beast is the last chapter of a story that started in a garden, when a man and a woman were offered a fruit, and a voice said, "You will not surely die. You will be like God." Every mark of the beast in every generation has been a variation of that one sentence. You don't need him. You can do this yourself. You are enough. You are your own authority. You are your own God. And every mark of God in every generation has been the answer to that same sentence. Not I, but Christ. Not me, but him. Not my will, but yours. That is what John saw sitting in that cave on Patmos. He saw the whole ark. He saw the garden. He saw Cain. He saw Egypt. He saw Babylon. He saw Rome. And he saw something coming after Rome that would gather all of it into one final shape, one final system, one final mark. And he warned us. But here is what is so beautiful about Revelation, and what most people miss because they read it through the lens of fear. Revelation is not, at its heart, a book about the end. It is a book about the Lamb. The word Lamb appears in Revelation more than any other title for Jesus. 28 times. More than King, more than Lord, more than Christ. John keeps calling him the Lamb. Why? Because John wants you to remember something. The same Jesus who was slaughtered as a lamb on a Roman cross is the same Jesus who is now standing at the center of the throne of heaven. The lamb that was slain is the lamb that reigns. The one who looked like he had lost everything is the one who actually won everything. And when the beast rises, when the mark spreads, when the systems of the earth seem to swallow every tribe and tongue and nation, the Lamb is still standing, still bleeding, still breathing, still calling his people by name. That is the picture John wants you to hold in your mind tonight. Not the beast on the throne, the lamb on the throne, not the mark on the hand, the blood on the doorpost, because the beast is loud, but the lamb gets the final word. And the question is not whether the beast will fall. He already has. The cross already settled that. The empty tomb already wrote the ending. The question is, when the beast speaks in your life, whose voice will you listen to? Let me ask you something honest before we go any further. If you have made it this far into this video, all the way to this moment, something inside you is searching. Something inside you is asking questions that the noise of your day usually drowns out. And I don't think you found this video by accident. If this is speaking to you, if something in your chest is awake right now that has been asleep for a long time, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel and walk with us every day. We talk about these things here. The real things, the deep things, the things the world stopped wanting to talk about. Hit that subscribe button. Stay with us. And let this be the moment you decided to take your faith seriously again. And down in the comments, I want you to write one word, just one. Write the name of the voice you are tired of listening to. Don't explain. Don't apologize. Just name it. Because the moment you name something, it loses half its power over you. Now, let me bring you back to what we were saying. Because there is one part of this story that we have not touched yet, and it might be the most important part of all. Revelation chapter 13 ends with the mark. But Revelation chapter 14 begins with a song. John says, I heard a voice from heaven, like the voice of many waters and like the voice of loud thunder. And the voice I heard was like harpists playing their harps, and they sang, as it were, a new song before the throne. And no one could learn that song except the 144,000. A new song. After all the terror of chapter 13, after the beast and the mark and the number, the very next thing John hears is music. A song that only certain people can learn. A song that the world cannot sing, because the world has been singing a different song for so long, it has forgotten any other melody. And here is what struck me when I first really sat with this. The people of God in the last days are not described as warriors with swords. They're not described as politicians with power. They're not described as armies with weapons. They're described as singers, people who know a song the world cannot sing. What does that mean? It means that in a world full of noise, the people who belong to God are recognized by a different sound coming out of them, a different tone in the way they speak, a different rhythm in the way they live, a different melody under their words, even when their words are simple, a peace that the algorithms cannot manufacture, a hope that the news cannot kill, a joy that does not depend on the markets, the elections, the diagnosis, the bank account, the rumors. The mark of the beast tries to teach you a song of fear, a song of comparison, a song of constant outrage, a song of consumption, a song of self. The mark of the Father teaches you a different song, a song so old it sounds new, a song that begins with 3 words. He is good, he is good, he is good, even now, even here, even in this. And there is no system on earth, no chip, no app, no government, no empire that can pull that song out of a person who has truly learned it. That is the war that Revelation is actually describing. It is not a war of armies. It is a war of worship. It is a war of songs. It is a war of which voice you will let teach your heart how to sing. And every single day of your life, somebody is singing into you. Your phone is singing into you. Your job is singing into you. Your friends are singing into you. Your own thoughts are singing into you. The question is, whose song are you learning by heart? Because the day the beast finally puts his hand out and asks for your consent and asks for your worship, the answer will not be made in that moment. The answer will already have been made in 10,000 small moments before that day, in every song you let into your soul, in every voice you obeyed when no one was watching. The saints in Revelation are not heroic because they resisted in the final hour. They are heroic because they had already, long before the final hour, learned a different song. And the most important thing you can do tonight, the most important thing any of us can do in this generation, is to start learning that song now, quietly, faithfully, one verse at a time, one prayer at a time, one small act of obedience at a time, until that song is so deep inside you that no beast, no system, no fear can ever take it from you. That is how you prepare for what is coming, not with bunkers, with a song. So let me bring you back to where we started. I asked you at the very beginning, what if you already have the mark and just don't know it? And maybe somewhere in the last hour, you felt the edge of that question cut a little deeper than you expected. Maybe you saw a name written on your own forehead that you did not want to see. Maybe you heard a song coming out of your own mouth that you did not want to hear. That is not condemnation. That is mercy. Because the only people in the Bible who ever changed were the people who were willing to see the truth about themselves. Cain refused to see it and walked east and built a city of forgetting. David saw it and wrote psalms that still bleed honesty 3,000 years later. Peter saw it, wept bitterly in the dark, and was rebuilt into the rock of the church. Paul saw it, fell off his horse, and never got back on the same way again. Every one of them had a moment where they stopped lying to themselves. And every one of them, in that moment, became more useful to God than they had ever been before. The moment you can name what owns you, you have already begun to belong to someone else. The mark of the beast is real, but it is not unbeatable. It is not unstoppable. It is not the end of your story. There is a lamb standing at the center of the throne who already paid for every name written on every forehead, including yours. The blood on that doorpost still works tonight. The cross is not a symbol on a wall. It is the receipt for a debt that was already paid in full. And the only thing required of you, the only thing that has ever been required of you, is to receive it. You do not need to be afraid of the end. You need to be honest about the beginning of the beast in your own life. The beginning of the song you have been singing without realizing it. The beginning of a different song you could start learning tonight. Not in a great gesture, not in a public declaration, in a small moment, in the dark, with no one watching. When you finally say out loud the words you have been swallowing for years, God, I'm tired. I have been listening to the wrong voice. Teach me yours. That prayer is older than every empire. That prayer has cracked open more lives than every sermon ever preached. That prayer is the beginning of a new mark on your forehead, written not in ink, but in mercy. The world is loud right now. It is going to get louder. The voices are going to multiply. The screens are going to brighten. The systems are going to tighten their grip on the right hand and the forehead of every person they can reach. And somewhere in all of that noise, there will be a quiet voice that has been speaking since before the foundation of the world, saying your real name, calling you home, asking you gently whose mark you are willing to wear. The answer is not given in the last hour. The answer is given every morning when you open your eyes and decide whose voice you will listen to first. If something in this video reached a place in you that has not been reached in a long time, Do 3 things for me before you go. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss what comes next. We are walking through these scriptures together, slowly, honestly, the way they were meant to be walked through, not as entertainment, not as theory, as bread. Share this video with 5 people, not 10, not 20, 5. 5 people whose foreheads you care about, 5 people whose songs you want to change. You don't have to say anything clever, just send it. Let the words do their work. And in the comments, leave something real, not a thumbs up, not an emoji. Tell me what you actually felt while you were watching this. Tell me the name you finally saw written on your forehead. And tell me what you want the next video to be about. What scripture has been knocking on your door? What question has been keeping you up at night? I read them. I listen. And the next video might be the one you asked for. The beast is loud. The lamb is louder. The mark is on the hand of the world. The name of the Father is on the forehead of his children. And the song, the new song, the one only his people can learn, it's already playing. You just have to stop listening to the other one.